Hey, psst, come here. No, come over here, come here. I've got some inside tips for you. This is Deke Sharon, by the way. It's too many notes, but the stuff I'm gonna tell you in this video, this is the kind of stuff we don't want outsiders to know. See, there are a few things in the acapella, I should let that go. There are a few things in the acapella world that are fundamental to making contemporary acapella work, but they're not in any books, they're not out there in the world, they're just kind of little whispers that one person shares to another that eventually the good groups start using and other people either stumble upon on their own or they don't know about. And so I'm gonna let you in on these secrets. You ready? All right, here's number one. Okay, so number one is that there's something about the nature of a song when it gets transformed into a cappella that ends up making it sound a little bit slower than it is. And if you've ever taken an original recording and kind of sung on top of it in the studio to kind of make your own a cappella version, you'll probably notice that once you take the original out, your version sounds or feels a little bit slower. Now, I don't know exactly what the physiological reason for that is. I have some theories about the nature of subdivisions, and when you have instruments, there's so many layers of things going on and they ring out at different times, so it ends up filling out the sound in a different way. But bottom line, there's an easy fix. You just add a few beats per minute to your song and voila, it feels the same. Now this is true actually for ballads as well as uptempo songs. If the original is 120 beats per minute, you'll probably find about 123, 124 feels right. And for a ballad, if it's 80 beats per minute, maybe it's 82, 83. Like, there's no perfect formula for this, but bottom line, speeding it up a little bit will make it feel the same, if that makes sense. Number two. All right, this number two thing is a trick that a cappella groups have been doing for the past decade or so, and it works miraculously. So, the problem at hand is that a human vocal bass is roughly an octave higher than an instrumental bass. This kind of bass or this kind of bass, it's up to you. So what do? Because you can't sing an octave lower than you can naturally sing, but you want your music to sound as full and rich as instrumental music. Here's the secret. You take your bass voice and you put it into a sub-harmonizer unit. You literally take that pitch and you drop it an octave. Then what you do is you roll off all the high frequencies, so you only have that low octave sound, and you take that sound and you cheat it in maybe 10 or 15%. And you put it in the subwoofers, if you've got subwoofers in your concert. If you're doing a bigger place, a live outdoor concert or whatever, or if you're in the recording studio, you want this. So what ends up happening is it still sounds like a person, it's still your voice, but there's that extra note an octave below, the fundamental of which is just loud enough that you feel it, but not so loud that you can clearly hear it and it sounds like a synthesizer or anything like that. And boom, problem solved. That's how the great a cappella basses out there on the road, you know who you are filling stadiums and filling performing venues and making their albums sound just huge and meaty. Number three. In pop music, you almost never hear women in their head voice. Now, it's not that there's anything wrong with women singing up in their head voice, up in their higher register, but as soon as you do, it doesn't sound like popular music. It sounds like it's classical music, like it's choral music, maybe a little bit musical theater. So if you want your all-women's group or your mixed group to sound more pop, keep your women down, below their head voice. Now you can pop up there occasionally. It's not that it's a terrible thing to ever have a woman floating way up high. Just know that you want to use it judiciously or throw it into some effects or whatever, so it seems like it's an instrumental moment or it's the rarity, and then have their lead vocals live down more in their chest voice, and you can push them up towards their break and you can get all that power going. But the high floaty thing doesn't exist in pop music. And sometimes people wonder what's going on. And it's as simple as that. It's an arranging choice. And if you have arrangements that have a lot of stuff living up there, think about flipping things down in inversion, taking those high notes and dropping them an octave. Or when you do have those moments, making them specific and sparse, but not the overall core of your sound, if that makes sense. All right, we got one more, number 4. Okay, and this is one that's just kind of a cool technique thing that can happen. And it comes from the fact that the human ear is attuned to hearing the extremities of sound. So if you've got a Bach chorale, for instance, it's a 4-part soprano, alto, tenor, bass, right? The melody is in the top voice because your ear automatically gravitates up there and hears that most clearly. And then the kind of other melody is down in the bass because your ear goes to the bottom and hears that kind of as a melody as well. So when you're hearing a well-written 4-part SATB arrangement or a Bach chorale, you're hearing those outer voices and their kind of contrary motion, like dolphins swimming in the waves. They are your melody and your counter melody that your ear's really hearing, and then all the notes in the middle are kind of the garbage notes, and that's why, you know, altos sing the same note all the time and back to that note again. Poor altos, I'm so sorry. So how does this translate to being valuable in the contemporary a cappella world? Well, if you know that that's the case, you can construct your arrangements in a really clever way so that they sound full and you can hear all the different layers. Your top part of any background parts, any trios or whatever, always make that melodic. So your lead vocal is out in front, right? And then your top part of the backgrounds has a nice melodic shape to it, and the other parts that are locked into it, if it's kind of a trio or whatever, you can put the more garbagey notes in the middle and make sure that that top part really reads as a melody. Of course, always have your bass line be melodic and full and cool and rich, but then the secret is those inner voices. Your tenor, your baritone, that's where you get really the dense, complex stuff going on. Because if your top voice is all that kind of stuff, your ear's already going there as the melody, and it's gonna suck a lot of the oxygen out of the room. Whereas if your top voice is and then your inner voices start going like doo doo doo, and then something in the middle is going doo 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 doo, and then the bottom you're going digga 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 digga. Your ear will actually hear down through them all, and you'll be able to hear all of those textures going on in a way that if the was going on the top, you wouldn't really hear the inner voice going in the middle. So, bottom line, if you take your arrangements and you think about the outside parts being very melodic and the inner voices as a better place to create a density of texture that then almost like, you know, through pane glass window, you can see the stuff going on in the middle there, that will give you the best opportunity to have layers that are perceived by the entire audience. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense to anyone? Hopefully, for the 3 of you that are still watching this video, you're welcome. Anyway, those are the secrets. I hope they're helpful and useful to your group. And if you've got any other secrets of your own that you found from creating a cappella music, for any age group, any level, whatever, post them below. Like, let's let our community know, because the better we make a cappella, the better a cappella is. See you next time.